Ebro got the internet buzzing this week by telling fans they have no right to give their critiques about albums because you haven't been doing it long enough. My question to Ebro is, can we trust your critiques? Let's talk about it.
The STEM Society.
What's poppin', people? My name is Cole Jackson. This is the STEM Society. Welcome back. I'm starting this episode off upset. I'm hot because this story had me pretty mad throughout the whole week. Ebro from Rap Life Review had this rant about fans and about our critiques, which equates to me as a content creator. He went on his show and he talked about how our critiques don't matter, how fans should just stay customers. Listen to what he says closely in this clip.
Call me old school, call me a hater and all that. But that's why in hip hop there has always been gatekeepers, because some of y'all don't deserve a fucking opinion. Because you haven't been doing this professionally, consuming, playing, and critiquing hip hop as your life. You're just a fan. And we love you. You're just a consumer. You're a customer, as we call them. That's why sometimes your opinion, customer, doesn't fucking count, because you don't fucking do this for real. And that's why when people who do this for real get around and they start looking at the nuances of what an album actually is and what it should mean and what the person is saying through the album and the picture that it's painting and the lyrical breakdown and them being able to stay on topic and who the producers are and what it means and what it serves in time and all of these things. When you critique complete bodies of work, not just collections of great songs, that's when you get into like what is a classic album in general and a classic hip hop album.
Ebro's frustration stems from something that he said a week prior or an episode prior where he said Drake didn't have any classic albums, which in the same episode he clarified himself and he moonwalked and he walked this statement back just saying it was just an example. Understood. I get it. That still doesn't really excuse what you just said, because I take that personal as a content creator. I'm a fan. But I've been doing content creation and podcasting for a lot of years now, as far as hip hop content or anything that has something to do with music. I've been doing this for a minute. And for somebody to belittle who I am and what I do, that just don't fly with me. Now, a lot of people look at this as a situation of him just being an overly entitled asshole, and I agree. Here are some of the things that people said on Twitter after they seen this video. Hip-hop is the only genre where being a fan is bad and you got to be a professional to have a valid opinion. Everybody else just enjoying their favorite song and skipping to their loo without a 50-year-old gatekeeper telling them what they like is actually not good, LOL. I'm with you when you're right. We're the only genre that has people like this in it. Ebro is one of those entitled assholes that did New York radio for all that time, and now he's able to sit on his couch at Apple and tell us what's good and what's not good. One of the worst things that happened in hip-hop in the last 10 years is journalists/media folk becoming even more big-headed than usual and thinking that they still matter nearly as much to the order of things as they used to. The internet boom / the rise of social media ended that. Again, another great point. The internet boom, social media, we've changed the way we do things. Now we have smaller content creators who actually have better opinions and are way more open-minded to music. See, Ebro is one of those people, or one of those talking heads, that comes from the old school way of doing things. And that's why his attitude is such an elitist attitude. That's why he looks down on a lot of these people who have things to say about hip-hop and certain albums and what our critiques are. Because when you say things like what you said in that video, you're talking to people like me. I'm a small content creator trying to build a channel off of hip-hop. I love hip-hop, but I'm still open to music. I don't think that the old early 2000s is the only music that's good. And it's okay to be open to new music, bruh. Like, you don't have to sit up there and be so upset. Let's pull back the lens and look at who Ebro is. And I'm not trying to dissect him as a man or his personal life. His professional career is what I look at. Ebro became PD for Hot 97 back in 2007? And if I'm not mistaken, and if history is telling me correct, that's still the era of payola. Payola is what they used to call pay for play. Labels used to go to different radio stations, hand them a nice little envelope of money, and there would be a particular artist that would be played on the radio a certain amount of times to be able to get spins, to be able to get the attention that they're looking for, and to help them get on Billboard. See, Ebro comes from that era. Ebro comes from the era of people not having the integrity like we think they do. And as much as he sits up here and talks to us about how he knows how to break down an album or break down songs and critique and understand how an album is made, it's great, bruh. I'm glad that that college education gave you what you needed to do that. But that don't necessarily give you integrity. That doesn't necessarily give you unbiased opinions, because no matter who you are, what you do in this space, you're going to be biased. That's facts. People like what they like, and it's okay to be that way. The problem is you guys on that side of the screen or in Life Review tend to not really hide the biases too well. You sit up here and you look down on people like me who do content creation for the love until they can get a place where they can actually get paid and this can be their life. See, that's where I have the problem. You don't like different points of views because you love this thing called hip hop so much, and you have that key and you're the gatekeeper, and you want to make sure that hip hop doesn't fall to the wayside ever again. What shift did you work when Adam 22 slipped through the gate? What shift was you working when Academics slipped through the gate? Because both of them do everything they can to exploit hip hop and get a check. I don't really see that type of energy from you when it comes to those people in the hip hop media space. 9 times out of 10, you're kind of quiet when it comes to those people. Now, you may have a rant or something somewhere else, but I've never seen it. So this gatekeeping that you continue to talk about, what are you doing to help hip hop or make it better outside of just being somebody who just loves how it used to be? The problem I have with your statement is you only see it one way. You want it to be one way. And that's just not how it goes, man. And for me to sit up here and think that I could trust you, and I'm not saying you were the person who was taking pay for play, because you might have kept your nose clean through that whole time. I'm just saying I know the area you come from. I know the type of shit that you do to be able to get people on or get people to be able to get airplay. And it's nasty work, the kind of shit y'all was doing in those days. That New York radio era was not the cleanest in the world. And again, I'm not saying you took money. I'm just saying I know the people or your peers who were around you that probably did take money. Let's talk about taking money also. Let's talk about the people you work for. You have a rap show on Apple Music. Think about that for a second. Now, you're the OG that sits up here and talks about the hip hop that you love so much, but those people from that era, aren't you the ones who rage against the machine? Aren't you the one who was against capitalizing or being a capitalist when it comes to hip hop? Aren't you from that space? And since we're such customers, which is such a bad thing, who's selling the dope? I see you sitting on a couch on Apple Music. I see that you have this platform on Apple Music. We have to come to you to understand what's hot and what's not. And I'm not saying that Apple keeps you from talking about specific artists, but I'm pretty sure you can't talk about any and everybody you want to on that platform. I'm pretty sure things are very carefully curated. And when it comes to artists that are not as big as Kendrick or not as big as Rayvon or not as big as some of the other artists you've mentioned on your show, I'm pretty sure Apple shuts that shit down real fast. Because at the end of the day, you're a company man. You work for the machine. You are the machine. And I know you get these great interviews, and I know you get these people coming up to sit down with you, but do you think they're coming to sit down with Ebro, or do you think they're coming to sit down with Apple? That's a legitimate question. Because history tells me a lot of people don't fuck with you. I respect you, if I'm going to be completely honest. I respect you because you're willing to say and do things to be rage fuel for us to come to your channel, for us to be able to watch Rap Life Review, for us to be able to get your views up. Now, I'm not Danny from the Stop or nothing like that. I'm not keeping up with your views, or I'm not keeping up with like how you're doing because I barely watch Rap Life Review. I think the show has a lot of great people on there. What's going on, Lo? My nigga. But for you to sit up here and call us fans and customers and our critiques don't matter because we haven't had the longevity that you have is bullshit. Longevity doesn't equal integrity. Longevity means you just seen some shit that we haven't. And that's fair. You lived a wonderful life at Hot 97 up until they got rid of you. And that's not no fault of your own because when they got rid of you, y'all were killing it. Y'all were actually doing the shit that y'all was supposed to do. But just like everything else, time changes. Everything changes. Hip-hop changes. Things evolve. You seem to not realize that sometimes. You need us to be able to survive on that Apple Music channel, right? If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be able to do that show. So don't sit up here and give me this whole spiel about us being customers and fans when at the end of the day, you need us. You don't get to have that job without us. And you're a YouTuber now, right? How does that feel? Didn't you come down on YouTubers at one point in time? Weren't you one of the people who hated YouTubers doing this hip hop content? How does it feel to be on the other side of things? Doing okay? I'm saying before you sit up here and be loud and mad about shit that's going on in hip hop, pick up a mirror and look at yourself sometimes. Because you ain't no different than nobody else. Again, you just lived a little bit longer and you got a lot more opportunities than a lot of us did. That's it. Speaking of what's bad in hip hop, LaRussell sales don't count towards Billboard. Billboard made the decision to keep LaRussell out of the top 100 here recently. Now, a lot of his sales got disqualified. In this video, he specifically tells us what Billboard did to make sure he was disqualified and how some of his sales didn't count. Listen closely.
I sold 30,000 albums independently within my community. We was really excited because with 30,000 albums, we were supposed to chart, and I would have been like top 5 albums in, and I was like, man, we did it. And I get a call from a company called Luminate. Luminate works with Billboard. They decide who charts and how it goes, and we like, man, we sold 30,000 units. And they come back and they say, none of your units count. All that hard work you did, it's for you and your community to enjoy, but it don't count for what we do. And we like, well, why? And they said, well, you called some of your fans that bought albums, you did pop-up shows, you did live streams, and you set a goal and said you was going to sell this much. That's incentivizing them to support you.
So good marketing, good promotion. This man got disqualified because he did good promotion and good marketing. Something that the major labels do, which I'm actually going to touch on later on in this video. Check out what else he had to say about him getting disqualified.
At first, it was bothering me because it's like, man, we grind. What you talking about? Like, we really did. I broke records. I sold out for 20,000, 18,000, 11. What y'all talking about? Publicly, we the first people who ever made album sales transparent. You seen every sale live. Nobody, no other artist, the industry don't do it. And they said, nah, that don't count here. They game, they rules. And that's cool. It's like we're going to take our ball and we're going to do what we do over here, and I'm going to make y'all look culturally incompetent. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's like, let come what may.
LaRussell's story has been very strange to me all year long. I've been following his career since early days when he didn't have but like maybe 3-4 people listening to him at the time. And to see where he got to now is fantastic. But this year has been strange because everything started off really good when he did this 100K campaign. When he did the 100,000 sales campaign, like, that shit is dope, man. I'm like, yo, we are most definitely going to support him because he's one of the biggest independent artists out next to like Russ. And, I really love the fact that he takes everything in stride. But everything kind of switched up when he signed this Roc Nation deal. When he took them pictures with Jay-Z, and then we found out he was going to sign the Roc Nation, things got kind of crazy. People started calling him an industry plant, which is a lie because if you didn't see his come up, you don't know that this nigga's been grinding for a very long time. And then we had that whole controversy with the Lil Wayne comment, which people took that out of context. He was basically giving us a reflective view of how things sounded at one point in your life and how they sound different at another point of his life. He had to come out and apologize about that. And now we get this Billboard situation, which, if I'm gonna be completely transparent with y'all on this video, I think is complete bullshit, because labels have been running the same play for years. Labels have been doing great promotion by giving us a fucking email telling us early that somebody's album's going to drop, or maybe some of the viral stuff that we see on TikTok, which are people who are paid by the label to get the news out there. Those leaks that some of these streamers have, where do you think those things come from? Like, what are we talking about here? And I like the fact that he told us every sale was transparent. He's an independent artist. He's doing what he had to do to get on Billboard. How many labels can say every sale that we see from them are transparent? None. 9 times out of 10 are there bots, there's stream farms, there's a whole lot of different elements that labels have that him being an independent artist don't have to be able to get on this top 100, which I don't know why we hold the Billboard Top 100 or Hot 100 in such high regard anymore. Half of the time it's shit that we already know is going to be there because the label has paid for it already. Let's just keep it a stat. So it's personal to me because I'm independent. I don't rap, but I do this podcast and this show independently. It's me, it's a laptop, it's a camera, it's a microphone, and that's all I got. I don't have anything else. And I have to do my own promotion, and I have to do my own, everything. I got to play the game with Instagram Reels or all of this other stuff on top of Patreon, on top of Substack. Wayno said it best. You got to see me 15 times to be able to see me once. And that's real. So it bothers me that LaRussell had to go through this because he's only doing what the system makes us do. We have to put ourselves out there to be able to make sales and to be successful. We have to have good promotion to be able to say, yo, see me, buy my product. My shit is good. I got dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got the shit that you want. And I just don't think it's fair. I just don't think that it's fair. And I know y'all are on the other side of this saying, well, life ain't fair, Cole. You're right. Life isn't fair. But we have had these types of problems before. Remember bundles? Remember we had all of these problems with getting on the Billboard Hot 100 because of bundles. There was a whole case back in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, with Nicki Minaj and Travis Scott. Travis Scott beat out Nicki Minaj's album Queen and ended up being #1, where Nicki Minaj got on Twitter or got on whatever social media was popping at that point in time and ranted about bundles. The bundle deals is what kept me from being #1. And what did Billboard do? They changed the rules. Billboard has changed their rules for people and artists and labels 3 major times in the last 10 to 15 years. That's not by accident. That's not by accident at all. They went from not allowing bundles to be able to get charted to going back to bundles, and then you could still get charted. But instead of them being called bundles, they're called fun packs or fan packs or something stupid. But nigga, we know it's a bundle. Don't try to play me. So they have changed the rules for specific artists or specific labels because they want to make it fair. I'm going to end this whole segment on this. The game is rigged, bro. And it's always going to be rigged, especially for people who are independent. When you look at a lot of the independent artists that are out now, half these niggas can't even get seen on sites or on streaming services because they're buried under all the label bullshit. I feel bad because I'm independent. And if YouTube did something to cheat me out of my subs or my views because I did good promotion, I would be pissed off. And then it's like, as somebody independent, how am I supposed to fight the machine? How am I supposed to get my respect or get my views or get whatever I need to make it to the next level if the machine continues to take away things because they don't follow the rules? Billboard's got to change this shit, or Billboard needs to figure out what they're going to do for independent artists to be able to say they have a voice or give them the opportunity to be charted, because if anybody deserves to be charted, it's LaRussell. And I know a lot of y'all might not like him, but I think he's an inspiration to a lot of people who are doing things independently. And we need more niggas like that doing it his way. So hopefully Billboard will take the time out to figure out what they can do to make this better. Well, that's my time, guys. I'm done for the day. Thank you for joining me. If you like what I do, because what I do is not very easy, pay me in a like, pay me in a comment. If you really want to pay me in a subscription. Grow this channel and make it bigger than what it already is. I appreciate you guys. I have a lot of content coming out next week, a lot of album reviews, and I make sure I'm going to give you guys a Wednesday episode. Thank you guys for being so cool. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you next episode. Peace out.
She just kind of fucking with my money, but I meant everything I said, and I say it again.